Camille, congratulations to a fantastic pavilion. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, the title is called Rapture, and I was inspired by vibration and a state of ecstasy, thinking of rapture. And in that state of ecstasy and strong vibrations, you can also experience a sense of rupture. So I was thinking about this sort of duality, this rupture and rapture, and wanted to work with the body of the pavilion, or the pavilion itself as a body.
Was it difficult to incorporate the trees?
No, they're there, and I've seen them, and I'm quite happy they're there. I think the trees also really exemplify the relationship between the inside and outside, and this piece is also sort of dealing with transgressions between inside and outside through the windows.
I read a little bit about the instrument, the glass.
Glass harmonica.
Yeah. What tells about you seem to have a fascination with this instrument. Tell us a bit about it, and can you play it?
Yes, I do play it, and I am very fascinated with it. I discovered it about maybe 5 or 6 years ago when I was putting together an ensemble. And I'm fascinated by it because the sound that it makes is very similar to the sine wave. It's the most pure tone in digital electronic music. And yet it's this instrument is made of handmade crystal bowls. Some of them are a bit wobbly, and so they don't produce pure tones, but they're just as visceral. They're they can give you goosebumps, these sounds. And I thought the history of it was really much more compelling. Benjamin Franklin invented it in 1761, and Marie Antoinette learned to play it. Mozart even learned to compose for it. Franz Mesmer tried to even hypnotize people in his healing sessions. So I think the instrument had a very interesting relationship to society because it was loved so much, and just as quickly people thought, well, if it can heal you, maybe it can make you sick or even kill you, and it was it disappeared for nearly 200 years.
Interesting was also that they thought it could transform or give women put women in an ecstatic or sexually aroused state.
Right. Those are some of the ideas around it, simply because it was women who were subject to being cured by it. And so this idea of the vibration, as I mentioned earlier, this vibration as something that can be healing or it can be a destructive force. The society thinking that, well, these historical women, first maybe we need to protect them from excess stimulus, and then some thought, no, they need to have more excess stimulus. And so the glass harmonica was sort of caught in this crossroads, and thought to be provoking or suggesting too many sexual ideas.
Also interesting that a thing that a woman who's sexually aroused is a bad thing. It should be forbidden.
Of course. I mean, it's ironic because during the same period the vibrator actually came to be used, and it was invented and used by doctors for this very same purpose. And if you read the historical documentation, the doctors will really claim that there was no sexual connotations of their practice whatsoever. I mean, before the vibrator was, sort of manually done, and there would be complaints, written down by doctors of, hand cramps and, really thinking this was such a terrible practice. And so it was quite interesting that, this from, the male point of view, if they were sort of in control of the situation, it was deemed as medicinal and correct. And yet if it was something that a woman were able to sort of control on her own, then suddenly it becomes taboo.
Quite threatening to men, kind of not to be able to control the women, right?
Exactly. So, and we really haven't gone so far from that as we see from these situations. We're still struggling with this.
Absolutely. Also, tell us a bit more about the voices inside. It's not only the glass harmonica, it's also female voices and the broken glass.
Right. Well, the composition is made of two main components. First, there is a chorus of 12 female voices. They are singing two notes of the tritone. And the tritone was another forbidden musical entity. It's simply two notes that have 6 intervals apart. But if you were to play them together, the tone, the medieval church thought that it was an unsettling tone, and that feeling coupled with the notion that it had 6 intervals in between, it must be the devil's tone. So it was banned from from being used. But what I think is interesting here is that if you were to play these two notes on the piano keyboard, for example, it does sound almost like a horror film, a very bad horror film soundtrack. But the quality of the voice, particularly the female voice, and all the rich layers of overtones that it brings, I find it creates something incredibly beautiful and alluring and almost seductive. And so here I'm using this, and perhaps that was part of the original fear of this tone. Perhaps it was, too alluring in a way, and not being resolved, having this sort of foreseeable and known end. And so in this work I'm really interested in again, not creating an installation that is conclusive, but it's really meant to be suspended in this state of excitation, almost a moment frozen in time. Yeah. So the second component in the composition is made from the sounds of the glass harmonica itself, and I'm actually sending those tones through selected broken pieces of glass in the installation. During the process, we actually took quite a bit of time to find specific tones that each piece of glass like to sing, in a way. So every physical property has, it's called a resonance frequency. So every physical entity has a note, you'd say, that would make it start to be excited or resonate, and we call that's its singing note. So for each pane of glass we wanted to use, we had to find the note for which it wanted to sing, and then I used those to sort of guide the composition.
Sounds pretty complex.
No, it's not. It's really just.
So how do you go about it? So you kind of or how did you find out the musical tone of a
piece of glass?
Yeah.
So it's actually very simple. So if you let's see, if you see the black box stuck on the glass.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's a device called an exciter, actually, and an exciter is simply a speaker. Now, normal speakers.